Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome. I'm happy to bring you a very cool video, very sarcastically. So I bought a car that I typically don't buy, if ever, just because it, I don't know, it was like such a dumb car that I was like, hey, this would be kind of fun to drive around for a day or two, and I would still make money on it. So I bid on it, I bought it. It has a few issues, but we'll take care of those. There shouldn't be anything major. Last time I saw it was somewhere over here. Yup, I see it now. Oh guys, you won't believe it. You ready to see it? You ready to see your grandma's car? Like, I can't even take myself seriously with this purchase. Here it is, a 1999 Mercury Sable. 1999, guys, but the reason why I bought it, 105,000 miles. So mileage is pretty low. Interior is in pretty good shape. Of course, it'll need to be cleaned up a little bit. That will need to get fixed up, but you know, this is minor stuff. Where's the hood? Hood latch. I will show you guys the problem it has. Okay, I just remembered that I'll need new hood struts. But here's the issue. This hose is no good, and it's basically a coolant hose, and it seems like it's been happening for a little while because you guys could see the caked on dried coolant. But I mean, aside from that, it runs pretty well. It shifts good. I drove it. And this new coolant line is not very difficult to replace. They're not very expensive. It's like 30-40 bucks if I remember correctly. Check the fluids, everything is good, but we may or may not be low on coolant. And there we go, she starts up. We do have a check engine light on, which is okay. I feel a very minor misfire. So I don't know, maybe spark plugs, ignition coils, I'll need a tune-up, but it rolls under its own power. I got it up to speed. I mean, it runs well, and I paid 845 bucks for this car. So maybe after cleaning it up, after kind of fixing it up, if I'm $1,000 into it, somebody will pay $2,000 for it. Essentially, I'll double my money. That was kind of the whole plan with this car. Plus, again, I saw it going through the lane, and I was like, when will I get another opportunity to buy a car like this? I mean, like, this is so out of style, and who knows, maybe it'll take me half a year to sell it. I don't know. But I figured investment is very little. The motor sounded healthy, and usually people who own these cars took really good care of them. I haven't seen one in bad shape, and I mean, I've looked at a few over the years, just, you know, kind of curiosity. I'd walk by them, take a look at them. And this one is no exception. I mean, it looks really good. I already feel the AC blowing cold. So honestly, I'm kind of excited. Pull the code, see what it is. Have a little project on the channel, a minor project, I hope, because I don't want to kill a lot of time on this thing. But regardless, it's pretty cool. Got the vehicle pulled out, and we are heading to the lot. I did add a little bit of water, as much as we had in my wife's car, which was probably a bottle and a half. And we might be low on coolant. So good thing is we are not that far from the lot. Bad news is we potentially might overheat. I don't know. And if we do, that's really gonna suck. But again, we're gonna do the best we can. So far, temperature is all the way at the bottom, so it didn't really warm up at all. Service engine light is flashing, which would indicate a misfire of some sort. But I'm doing nearly 40 miles per hour, and this thing is comfortable. Honestly, like a perfect grandma car. So heading to the lot, hopefully we make it with no issues, no overheating. They start the cars, you know, like 5 minutes, maybe 2 minutes, and then they kind of pull them to the lane, and then, you know, 4 or 5 minutes before they go through the lane. So in theory, cars usually run for about 10 minutes before, you know, like dealers bid on them. So I would think that just because of the situation, if it was overheating in 10 minutes, it probably would have started to overheat and I would have seen it. So I'm hoping that's not the case. Hopefully there's enough coolant water in the system where I could safely get it to the lot. But again, we're risking it, but it's a cheap purchase, so I don't care. I am very close to the lot. I killed the vehicle because we are on a red light, and just in case, I don't want to overheat, especially when I'm like literally 2 miles away from the lot. So I mean, it's doing really well for the last, you know, 4 or 5 miles or so. But again, I mean, I just don't want to overheat, and I'll just let it sit. It starts on its own, it doesn't need to jump, so hopefully not a mistake. I feel like I do smell a little bit of coolant, but again, it's that top coolant line that has a crack, so you know, it'll definitely be seeping coolant out. The question is, does it have enough in the system where we don't overheat and safely make it to the lot? Guys, what a trooper. I don't know if you heard that, but we are boiling. Listen to that. Yeah, I seen it's dripping down here. So very well could have kind of seeped through, coolant seeped through the, honestly, it looks like maybe even injectors. Yeah, I believe we got our fuel injectors right here. There's our fuel line. So that's why it could be missing. But you guys can hear that, definitely seeping coolant. So it is a project. Let's see. Yeah, but we made it. It didn't overheat. So honestly, I would say Grandma's car is a champ. And it's super, super smooth actually, surprisingly smooth. Everything feels buttoned down. There's no weird rattles or, I mean, just no odd noises. AC blows super cold. Like I had to turn it off. It was blowing so cold. What I am going to do right now though is grab my check engine reader, pull the codes, get some photographs of the codes, and then start ordering parts, see what's needed to get it fixed up, and off to the next owner. So far I am still excited about this purchase, but who knows, maybe by the end of the video I'll be so annoyed with this car that I won't be. Here are our codes. It says 4, but it's actually 2 codes, P0301 and P0171, and see, they repeat. So we technically have 2 codes on this one. Just like I suspected, it's a misfire code. So the job is gonna be figuring out why it's misfiring. My assumption is coolant is getting into the holes, and they just need to be cleaned up. But I mean, if anything, we'll put new injectors in it, make it right so that the next grandma can enjoy this vehicle. Hi. So I'm gonna leave the car here for the next few days. I'm gonna start buying up parts. Oil is fresh, transmission fluid is fresh. I need hood struts, I need that upper coolant hose, whatever it's called, and then probably injectors, and kind of go from there. But I'm still excited. Pausing it here. I'll see you guys in a few days.
Several days later.
Welcome back. I think this clip might be a little bit quick because I only have a hose. And to my surprise, this hose was very, very difficult to find. Where at one point I actually went to pick and pull trying to find one off of an old car, which was also unsuccessful. I guess there's 2 different motors for this year or like similar years, and then they totally did something different. So unfortunately I had to find this one, and it took a little while. Fortunately though, it wasn't very expensive. I think this whole assembly was like $20, which again, you know, it's very inexpensive. And I also purchased fuel injectors just because I figured coolant was dripping there. It might have damaged the injector itself, clogged it up or whatever. So I will be doing that once the new fuel injectors come in, or actually take it to my mechanic. We'll see. But right now, I'm gonna replace this hose.
Soon after.
Well, honestly guys, it took a lot longer to take everything apart than put it back together. I got the clamps on, got the bolts on. Now I think we could add more coolant, which, yeah, we are pretty low. I'll have to go see. I don't even know what kind of color coolant was in here. But basically, add coolant, I can start it, I could let it run. I'm assuming it's still gonna have a misfire, but again, that's why I have injectors on the way. I'm assuming that's the cause or that's the issue, but won't know until I start fixing it. So I added some coolant. I wasn't very careful, as you guys can see. I had maybe half of this, and it's still, I'll show you guys, it's still nearly empty. I barely see it at the bottom. But if you guys can see, it's still missing. Just a tiny bit. But with coolant in it, I can safely take it to my mechanic if I decide not to replace the fuel injector, so he can do it. But we are one step closer to getting this thing kind of finished up. And I see we have a new starter at the bottom right there. But honestly, still excited. I mean, this was such a weird, not like me type of purchase that I still like it. I still really, really like it. But again, we're gonna take a pause here. Fuel injector should be here tomorrow. And honestly, I'm leaning more towards my mechanic doing it. Take a look at the lot, guys. Everything is packed, everything. So I have other things I need to do. And I think it would just be more time effective if I have him take care of it. But I'm gonna take a pause here and resume. When we resume, I don't know what's gonna happen next.
1 week later.
Alrighty guys, I'm back. This car has been sitting for a little while and I had some extra time today, so I figured let me do the fuel injectors. So I literally just replaced them. Not super difficult, but not super easy. Here are the old ones. And yeah, I mean, look at that, that's pretty rough. So I'm hoping the misfire is gonna be fixed after this. So this is going to be a first start after new fuel injectors. All right, old girl, start. And then please don't misfire. I still feel a misfire and I hear something iffy in the engine bay. But it could be from new injectors. Because I turned the key and I started it right away, so I didn't even let the fuel line be filled with fuel. So I'm gonna let it run. I mean, so far I still see a very, very tiny misfire, but I'll just let it run for a few minutes and then we'll kind of go from there. But I mean, that's my first guess. Next guess after that is gonna be do spark plugs. I don't know, we'll see.
The next day.
It is a new day and I'm hoping to finish this Mercury today, at least mechanically finish it. I don't know if I told you guys or not yesterday, it was clearly still misfiring. I actually ended up pulling the codes with my code scanner and it finally showed a misfire for, I think, cylinder 1 and 4, I believe. So this morning I ordered new spark plugs and the wires for the spark plugs. They are NGK plugs, NGK wires, so it's a really nice set. And they should be here probably within 30 minutes. But while I'm waiting for those new parts, I'm gonna start pulling everything apart. As we can see, here's our cylinder 4, 5, and here's our 6. So we're gonna have to disconnect that, pull these boots off. So I'm gonna start doing that more or less carefully so I don't hurt myself or damage anything else. The difficult ones are gonna be the ones back here, but they are still reachable. Right here, I can touch them. It's just gonna be slightly uncomfortable, but hopefully once we have new wires and new plugs, this thing is gonna purr. Got the 6 plugs out. Surprisingly, it wasn't very difficult, but we have Motorcraft plugs. So I'm assuming these are original plugs, and I mean, look, pretty much burnt off. So I'm glad I'm replacing them. Next thing is just start pulling these off, disconnecting them. Somehow, I already got this kind of loose. And I think once I disconnect these, I'll be able to slide this whole assembly away from the throttle body. So I got the new parts. Got our spark plugs, and we have the new wiring. Well, I got the first 3, the easiest ones done. Now I'm gonna work on the back ones, and now we're gonna do our first start. I believe I am done. There's all the new stuff. Are you guys ready? Because honestly, I'm not ready. Oh, it's toasty in here. All right, well, best of luck to me. Like I said, guys, I'm not ready. Did I goof up somewhere? Something out right? She is definitely not happy. So my only thing is, possibly these three are off because it's so hard to see. So maybe, you know, like cylinder 3, I put it to 4, so it's not firing the correct ones. So let me take a look at that again, double check my work, and go from there. All right, try number 2. I mean, now it started. Still not running that great though. Still feel a misfire. Well, I still see some movement. I just double checked and triple checked the ignition wiring. Yeah, we still have a slight misfire now. Check engine light is flashing. Yep, once I put it under load. It's definitely missing. Why? Why, car? Why? So we had a check engine light on. I pulled the codes again. It showed cylinder 4. Messed around with it and somehow it moved a little bit more. So now I think and hope they're all clipped in. I see some vibration, but it's almost like it's not a misfire vibration. So we'll see. I'm gonna let it run a little bit. And then yeah, kind of go from there. So we definitely still have a misfire. Although it sounds a lot better, but flashing engine light is the first sign of a misfire. And the engine reader is still showing us that it's cylinder 4 misfire. Pending code, onboard not ready, and cylinder 4 misfire. So cylinder 4 is in the front. Basically it goes 4, 5, 6, and then I think 1, 2, 3 back there. So this is our 4. So why are you misfiring, dude? So I just pulled the plug out, as you guys can see on the threads. It is filthy. I am very curious if it's firing. Almost looks like it did fire, but what's up, plug? I'm gonna see if this thing sparks. And we're gonna try something little wild. Okay, Sophia, do you know how to start the car? Okay, don't start it just yet. Okay, but you're pretty much almost there. Okay, Sophia, go ahead, start it. Okay, try number 2, go baby. Kill it. Alrighty guys, well, I definitely did not see a spark. I most definitely did not see a spark on this plug. Alrighty, I had her do it again, and again, there is no spark, which could be a bad spark plug, possibly, but something leads me to believe that maybe this block is bad, and cylinder 4 is just not firing from here.
The next day.
Alrighty guys, I hope I can get this thing dialed in and done today. So I'm gonna try to swap one of the wires for the 4th cylinder and see if that helps us any, because this is the one that's throwing the misfire code. No, it's still not really liking it. Yeah, we got some squeaking. Yeah, we're still missing. We're missing pretty darn hard. Okay, I'm gonna kill it. So next thing that I'm gonna try Oh, that's probably a 6, not an 8, yeah. Is replace this block. So I have a new one in here. And getting to this one should not be very difficult, so I'm gonna start working on that. Yeah, that was very easy. 4 bolts, we got a ground here, and then connect everything, and we're gonna try again. So, a split second, we're gonna be starting it once again. I almost feel like it's gone, but let's take a look at the engine. Still something there. Although it definitely looks better. Yeah, who knows, maybe we have a problem with the 4th cylinder. Ultimate tell is, watch, it's in park. If I put it in any gear, you guys hear that? That's the obvious sign that we are still missing. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put my tools away, I'm gonna take it down the street, see if we get a check engine light on or anything. Well, I don't even need to drive it because the check engine light is flashing, which would indicate misfire. I am still going to take it down the street because sometimes new parts, I mean it's most likely not, but sometimes new parts, onboard computer needs to figure out what to do with them. But to be fair, I highly doubt that this is our case. Okay, I mean, next option is try moving the spark plugs over from one cylinder to the other. See if it will follow, but it's not running really good at all. Definitely a heavy misfire. Okay, so that didn't work. Yeah, I think I'm gonna pause the video here for a few days, maybe a week or so. Do some more research and maybe poke around off video, see if I could figure something out, and then we'll go from there. But still like the car, just want it to run well. That's all I want. It's a nice car.
Much later.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come to give you an update and finish this video. I bought this Mercury many months ago, hoping for a cool grandma car, just something totally different. I knew I wasn't gonna make a lot of money on it. I wasn't shooting for the profit. Honestly, like, these cars don't really exist anymore, but they are super comfortable to drive. That's why I call it grandma car. And honestly, it's something that your grandma possibly owned at some point in her life. But that's not in an offensive way. I'm just saying, like, younger folks, don't drive these cars. That's where they're almost non-existent anymore. And I wanted a project, I wanted to experience it because this is a well-optioned car. It is actually fairly clean all around, but it doesn't run well. And it's been sitting here for a very long time. So I had my mechanic come out, looked at it. Before he came out, I replaced spark plugs, I replaced 3 of the injectors, I replaced all the spark plug wiring, I replaced the block, I did a compression test on all cylinders. The car runs, well, from those things, everything checks out. But there's a cylinder that's misfiring. So I had my mechanic come out, he started to poke around, and it turns out we have 3 cylinders that are not firing anymore, which was not the case when I picked up the car. For you guys, it should be fresh in your memory. I literally drove this car here from the auction. The water pump, well, I'm assuming it's a water pump, is leaking a lot worse now, the coolant. So I can't even really drive it. when I start it runs rough. So it literally, like, it's dying on my lot, because even like now I jump start it, put it into gear, it dies. This thing, I can't do anything with it. So my mechanic said it's probably a PCM or ECM issue. Basically the computer is not letting or not telling the engine to fire and when to fire on certain cylinders. So you could get a used ECM, they're like 40 bucks, they're not very expensive. If you get like a remanufactured, rebuilt one, they're about $200. The problem is, he said you need special software to program it to the car, software that he does not have. And basically $200 for the new ECM, PCM, I think ECM. And then he said around $200 to $300 to have someone come out, program it. So that's $500, and that's not guaranteed that it's gonna fix the problem. There's just so much we could do in its condition. We couldn't even get it to get a check engine light on. We had to run for 15-20 minutes. It misfires, but we couldn't even get a check engine light. So he's like, yo, it's very difficult to kind of diagnose the issue. The other one is the water pump. Again, water pump is not very expensive, but plus labor. So I'm looking at another $800 to, best case scenario, to get this thing fixed up and running. And at that point, yeah, it'd be easier to sell. Maybe I'd lose $200-300 or whatnot. But it's labor, very labor intensive, and again, I'm taking a risk. I'm putting more money into it without knowing what the return is going to be. So unfortunately, I decided to sell this car. As you guys see it, I posted it for $1,000, but even then I think that's a little much. I'm $994 into it. I just want to get rid of it because this space is more valuable to me than, I mean, it's literally just taking up space at this point. At this time, I'm not going to be fixing it. I have no plans of fixing it. I just want it gone. So if you are local and you want a project, you saw everything I did, I told you what I did, shoot me an offer. I know I'm going to lose money on this car, and I'm okay with that. I just want my extra space back. So unfortunately, this project didn't turn out the way I thought it would. I was really hoping to kind of cruise, you know, almost get that like late 90s feeling. And when I bought it, it was warm outside, so I thought window down, just cruise down the road, like 35, comfortable speed, because that car is very comfortable, and that didn't work out. So it is what it is, it happens. I'm just kind of bummed that the longer it sits here, the more dead the car becomes. I don't know why, but that's the Mercury for you guys. I appreciate you watching. Please consider subscribing if you are not a subscriber yet, and I will see you in another video.